Hello, students. It's Mrs. Smith, and we're back for some fun with Mealy Worms, superworms, and Darkling Beetles. I'm videotaping this in my bathroom because it has good light, and I'm hoping you can see everything. Remember, should just be a nice review for you. The life cycle of a mealy worm. See the picture of the beetle, Darkling Beetle? They're nice and black. All mine have died, so I don't have a living one to show you. Now the life cycle starts out with an egg. The Darkling Beetles lay the eggs, right? I'm going to try and spin this. After the egg, it hatches and it becomes what they call the larva stage or the mealyworm. And I want you to notice it's not a real worm, not an earthworm. It is a larva. Can you see the legs? Yes, it is not an earthworm. The next stage of its life cycle is this funky looking creature. I'm not touching the reverse button, really. It just does it sometimes. Right now, that would be the pupa stage. The mealyworm curls up when it's nice and large, superworm size. It curls up into the letter C. And then after a couple of days, it transforms into this shape, which looks much more like a beetle. And it's a soft ivory-colored, white, tannish color. And then, after 15-20 days, it comes out of that pupa stage into the Darkling Beetle. When it first emerges, it's like a reddish color, and then after a couple of days, it darkens. Now, most of mine live almost a year, and they're what they would do if they were not in my tank, and I would let them go in a barn, they would get into the oats, wheat, and they would have a heyday in there. So you never want to let them loose. These are just for, actually, I grew them to teach about and to feed to my critters. My bearded dragon loves to eat the superworm section of that. Now, here we go. I'm going to show you some of my babies. I cannot show you the eggs because they have all hatched and they're too little. I can never see those eggs. They're just way too little. So here we go. Here's some little ones for you to look at. I'm going to pick one up and put it over here. And this one is small. This one's even smaller. Sorry. And you can see they're good at crawling. Put him right back. Sorry. There he goes. One of my favorite things that they do is they crawl backwards. I'm going to put them back in and show you the container again. They like to eat oatmeal, ground up meal, and then I'll give them a carrot. They need moisture. They don't drink water. So they do need some moisture to keep them living. Now, as they grow and continue to grow, then they're labeled superworms. I'm going to try and put a superworm size on the white container with the mealyworm size, and hopefully you can see the difference. I like holding the mealyworm size better, and you can see he's doing my favorite thing. He's going backwards. I love it. They're both going backwards. That's one of my favorite tricks they do. They go forwards and backwards, and I just think that's so funny to see. Go back to mealyworms, please. And so, you can see their legs. They are not an earthworm. I'm going to put Mealy Worm back in. And Superworm. Since they can bite through carrots, when they nibble on your finger, you can feel it. That's why I like to hold the Mealy Worm size better than the Superworm size. It doesn't hurt as much, the little nibbling that they do. I do have one. I put them in a box like this to transform. And I hope you can see that. There's little sections. They're all by themselves. They curl up into the letter C. And then they start the pupa stage, which is here. I'm going to try and get this one as close as I can. Now, isn't that a funny looking critter, that pupa stage? When it gets time for him to bust out of there as a beetle, he does wiggle. He wiggles and jiggles. Right now he's very still, but you can see that's the pupa stage. And I'm very excited when they do that. So since all my Darkling mamas and papas have died, they only live, less than a year, I'm trying to get these superworms, they have to be nice and big and fat, to transform, because they don't eat the whole time that they're getting ready to transform. And they transform best when they feel safe. If a superworm is hungry and finds a pupating beetle, they might eat it. They'll also eat beetle eggs. Yeah, so that's crowd control. So I'm going to close that up. I keep it in a shoebox with a covering. So I cover them up and I keep them in the dark so that they feel nice and secure. Good. Cover them up and they're ready. Not that these are real earthworms, but I thought I would do a quick little skit. Ooey Gooey. Now, Ooey Gooey, I thought I'd put him on this rock. And the interesting thing about this rock is when I looked at it, there was a fuzzy on the rock right here. And when I flipped it over, you can see these little dots. I was wondering if it might be an insect's eggs on this, laid on this rock in this sticky web. Now, Ooey Gooey was a worm. That's Ooey Gooey. Ooey Gooey liked to squirm. Oh no! Ooey Gooey got stepped on. And then what happens? Ooey Gooey. I covered him in peanut butter. Now the next rhyme about Ooey Gooey. Ooey Gooey was a worm. A fine young worm was he. He ventured on, this is my railroad track, a railroad track. There he is on the railroad track. The train he did not see. Here's my pretend train. Choo choo. Ooch, ouch, splatter, splutter. Ooey Gooey's peanut butter. And that is the Ooey Gooey rhymes. Bye-bye.